Hello, Jörg. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Hello, Claudia. Nice seeing you.
So, Jörg, you're a partner with Baker McKenzie. You work primarily in arbitration and litigation. You're also an honorary professor for advocacy and negotiation. Can you share a little bit about what's going on in terms of negotiation challenges in the world of international arbitration at the moment?
Well, of course, the corona crisis is dominating everything, as you can imagine. What we currently see is that a lot of board members contact us and they need a legal expertise from us, telling them whether they can delay payments in order to safeguard the cash positions of companies, and what will happen if they delay payments and try to pursue a wait-and-see approach. So that is really what's going on right now. Everybody is trying to protect the cash position of the company in order to wait and see how the corona crisis is going to develop.
Okay, that's interesting. And do you think there's going to be a new opportunity for people to sort of come together on a more consensual way and negotiate things, settle them easier than they normally would now because everyone's under much more pressure?
Well, you know, Claudia, it of course would make sense, because what we are seeing right now is that we are all sitting in the same boat. We are globally connected. We are all hit by the corona crisis, and it would make sense to talk to each other and to settle disputes amicably. Actually, I do fear, and that would really make sense, but what I do fear is something else. What I do fear is that everybody realizes that he or she is losing money right now. So all the disputes we're going to face are loss-loss scenarios. It's not who's going to win, it's about who's going to lose less. And their psychology kicks in. It's called the so-called loss aversion, that people fight much harder to avoid losses than compared to sharing gains and profits. So my fear is that due to this loss-loss scenario, that we are going to see very harsh fights among the companies. And this is, of course, not what is good for the economy. What the economy needs, at least once the corona crisis is over, a quick settlement, a stable basis for going on with the economy and for basically repairing all the damage which has been incurred by everybody. But as I said, for these psychological reasons, I fear that we are going to face a rather different scenario with many, many disputes in courts and in front of arbitral tribunals.
So if anything, it might make negotiations tougher from your perspective because of the psychological aspects that kick in with everyone now in panic mode, so to say.
Yeah.
Are there any other... Sorry, go.
Yeah, that's what I expect, because the question in those negotiations for every part is, how much am I going to pay? It's not about how much am I going to receive, how much am I going to pay? And this is a much tougher question to answer than how much of the overall profit am I to.
So the challenge is really both psychologically as well as the unprecedented terms, and we don't really know where anything is going. So everything's very unpredictable at the moment. Do you have any tips, any recommendations of how people could best deal with these tough negotiation situations at the moment?
Well, first of all, people need to change perspective. There's a famous Roman lawyer, Cicero, who once said, I'm not interested in where things are coming from, I'm interested in where things are going to. We can't change the past, we can't change the corona crisis, but we are the master of the future. So if negotiators are able to change the framework, to change the relation point, looking into the future, saying the future is bright, let's settle the past quickly, that's probably the best advice I can give at this moment. I do fear that parties will have difficulties in adopting that approach, and it might be a good idea for the government to step in and say, come on, I give an incentive to people who settle their corona-related disputes quickly. I pay the mediator, I pay the judge, or I even pay 100,000 euros if you are able to settle your dispute within 2 months' time after the corona crisis has come to an end. Because the alternative is that we are going to see thousands and thousands of corona crisis-related disputes. And you know in Austria, I know in Germany, if you go to state courts with that kind of disputes, it easily takes 2 or 3 years. And I fear that economy does not have that amount of time.
Do you think there's a realistic chance that we'll get any such incentives from the government? Is there anything in the pipeline?
I haven't heard of it yet. But
where do we push?
it's for you, me, it's for the legal community, especially for the dispute resolution industry, as I call it, to make proposals and to exert pressure and say, come on, this is not only a health issue, this is also a dispute resolution issue we face. We need to do something about it. This is our proposal.
And this may also work on clients if we give them a bit of a reality check, so to say, and let them realize how much time, how much money it's going to take to try and resolve all these things after, to try and get them out of that, as you said, change the framework from looking at the past and what the dispute is that we had to looking into the future of what could we make out of it at this point with both of us in the same boat, but at the same time not getting stuck in court for many more years, which is going to cost us eventually even more than finding a way to settle it right now. Do you think there's a realistic chance, some way that we could help parties see that reality, or do you think it's too hard to get them out of this negative loss aversion mindset?
Well, again, it's need to convince our clients that they should take this rather different approach to this dispute. I believe that is especially true because I'm concerned that the contracts and the law does not provide a clear-cut, reasonable solution for corona crisis-related disputes. Because what do you do in a contract, Claudia? You plan for what you expect. What is a lawmaker doing? A lawmaker issues black letter law for situations a lawmaker expects. The problem is nobody has expected the corona crisis. This is unheard of. It affects each and everybody. And I haven't seen yet any clause in any contract, and believe me, I've reviewed many contracts during the past 3 weeks. I haven't seen any corona clause in any contract. I haven't seen any clause which was remotely close to be a corona clause. What you see is boilerplate clauses dealing with force majeure, or as we say in Germany, Wegfall der Geschäftsgrundlage, unexpected change of circumstances. But those are boilerplate clauses, and they were not tailor-made, they were not bespoke for corona crisis-related disputes. And this is why I fear that if you delegate the decision to a judge, you will be unhappy about the outcome, which you ultimately get from the judge, i.e. the judgment must be based on what is black letter law, and the black letter law was not tailor-made for the corona crisis. So it's much easier if the parties try to find a bespoke solution to their dispute by way of mediation or direct settlement negotiations.
Because otherwise the resolution could be very open, not just as black and white as always, but completely out.
Yes, and this is also, I mean, if you go to a judge, at least in Germany and in most jurisdictions, a judge tells you only, yes, you have a claim, or he denies your claim. What we are going to need after the corona crisis are adjustments of contracts. And this is something you can only achieve by way of negotiation. You can't approach a judge, at least not in Germany, telling the judge, we need a completely new contract. We can't agree on a new contract. Please write it for us, dear judge.
Yeah.
It's not going to fly in Germany, and it's not going to fly in most jurisdictions. Pardon me?
So there will be corona clauses that go into contracts from now on, you think?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't thought of it. I mean, you have talked to other attorneys around the globe, I believe. Have they talked to you about corona clauses?
That question only just came to my mind now, because you said it's not in there, we don't have any precedent, but we really need, and now that psychological part also plays in, because people always remember the most recent thing. So now everyone's going to be acutely aware that this thing may not only not disappear, but keep coming up. So that just made me wonder, is there a chance that from now on everyone's going to renegotiate their contracts and put the Corona clause in?
So if I haven't thought about it before, Claudia, but that's really an intelligent question. And there's a famous German philosopher who once said, if you want to achieve justice, you only achieve justice by way of proceedings. This is the only way how you can achieve justice. And if we talk about a Corona clause, my Corona clause would look like as follows. You have to settle within 2 months' time. And if you don't settle, those parties either have to pay a penalty or they do not get a reward, maybe a reward granted by the government. So we need to provide, the government needs to provide incentives to the parties to settle quickly, because delegating the decision to a judge and then to an appellate court, it's going to take too long and it won't be a satisfying result, I believe.
And the system is not ready to even take on all these procedures at the moment. Everything's completely locked down. And I love that idea. Let's see, there's always something good coming out of every horrible situation. Maybe for the legal world, it will be that we manage to settle more cases and that we find appropriate clauses of how to deal with unprecedented conflict and challenges. Might be just that in 5 years from now we're talking and everyone has a Corona clause in their contract that provides for better settlement incentives.
Absolutely, and as a Chinese proverb goes, we are living in interesting times, and at least that is true, Claudia. So
that is true. And when
maybe we start an area of innovation now in the dispute resolution industry. Let's wait and see.
I do believe so, absolutely. And as they say, if nothing is certain, everything's possible. So I think that's the positive note to the end of this. So thank you so much, Jörg, for taking the time. Very much appreciated.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
All the best. Stay safe.
Okay.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
You too. Stay healthy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.